Hello, I'm John Fox on the channel John of the West. I'm having Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair Adventure. And that's it. I think he might have died from falling there, Nakamura.
Died from falling?
Died from falling.
If the funhouse's secret is that it's a structure where both towers and houses are vertically connected, then the killer made use of its height and caused Nekomaru to die from falling.
Are you saying they pushed him off? Where'd they push him off from?
That, I don't know yet.
Don't just make things up when you don't know the method.
What do you mean? That's how you speculate.
Where in that building would you even be able to push someone off in the first place?
It might be possible in the tower. You could push him off the 4th floor when the elevator is on the 1st floor.
Did you forget how the elevator functions? When it's on the 1st floor, the door on the 4th floor won't open.
Saying he died from falling is truly incorrect. You should burn in the flames of hell.
Might be Gundam.
But my gut is going crazy right now.
If Nekomaru died from falling, where did the killer shove Nekomaru from? If I'm gonna reach the truth behind the incident, I need to solve that mystery next.
When the elevator is on the 1st floor, you can't go through the door on the 4th floor.
It'd be impossible to shove off the victim from up there.
Then, how about this? After locking Nekomaru inside the elevator, they moved the elevator from the 4th floor to the 1st floor and made use of the drop.
Hold on! Did you forget the elevator has a sensor? As long as there's a moving object inside.
No, that's wrong!
No, that's wrong. I mean, you're actually right, but... Yeah, hang on, he's
That
right.
sensor should only work if something is moving.
Yeah, but that's not what he was saying. I'll go with it, because it makes the point, but... what he said wasn't wrong.
If Nekomaru wasn't moving inside, the elevator sensor wouldn't have detected anything.
Could it be his sleep mode?
When Nekomaru's goodnight button is pressed, all of his functions shut down, and he enters sleep mode. If he's in sleep mode, the elevator sensor wouldn't have noticed him, right?
I see. So that's how...
However, even if they moved the elevator in that manner, Nekomaru would have just moved along with it. There would have been no drop for him to fall and die from, yes?
That's what I was about to explain, before Kazuichi interrupted me. Silence, pest!
Now you're calling me a pest?
A way to create the drop inside the elevator while Nekomaru is still in it. Jackie seems to have an idea, but what way could that be? The wire, the wire, the wire, the wire.
If you arrange it a certain way, you can cause the drop within the elevator.
So you're telling us all to think about the arrangement, right?
That arrangement is... The hammer is suspicious.
Isn't it about time we went over the pillar again?
What about the oil on the floor?
The doorknob on the floor seems suspicious.
How about we all shut up and listen to what Chiaki has to say?
Silence, pest!
Don't be so cold. What if I start to enjoy it?
If Nekomaru is inside the elevator, how can we create a difference in elevation? Why? You hang him. But like, I didn't see an opportunity to say that.
If you arrange it a certain way, you can cause the drop within the elevator.
So you're telling us all to think about the arrangement, right?
That arrangement is... The hammer is suspicious.
Isn't it about time we went over the pillar again?
What about the oil on the floor?
The doorknob on the floor seems suspicious.
How about we all shut up and listen to what Chiaki has to say?
Silence,
Don't. What if I start to enjoy it?
If you arrange it a certain way, you can cause the drop within the elevator.
I don't get it. Like, we just need to continue talking. What is this game? Yeah, I know, it's the wire, but I don't know how to communicate that.
If you arrange it a certain way, you can cause the drop within the elevator.
So you're telling us all to think about the arrangement, right?
That arrangement is...
The hammer is suspicious. Isn't it about time we went over the pillar again?
Okay, but,
What about the oil on the floor?
The doorknob on the floor. How about we all shut?
Silence!
Don't. What if I start to enjoy it?
try the wiring it up.
If you arrange it, you can cause the drop.
So you're telling to think about the arrangement, right?
That arrangement... The hammer is suspicious.
Isn't it about time we went over the pillar again?
Right, course the drop.
If you arrange it you can cause the drop within the elevator.
So you're telling us all to think about the arrangement.
That arrangement... The hammer is suspicious.
Isn't it about time we went over the pillar again?
When the hell does that pillar come out? Maybe you throw the pillar, then you jump on top of that and...
Crap!
If you arrange it a certain way, you can cause the drop within the elevator.
So you're telling us all to think about the arrangement.
That arrangement... The hammer is suspicious.
Isn't it about time we went over the pillar again?
What about the oil on the floor?
Oh, damn it!
The doorknob on the floor. How about we all shut up?
Silence!
Don't be so cold. What if I start to enjoy it?
If you arrange it, you can cause the drop.
So you're telling to think about the arrangement.
That arrangement... The hammer is suspicious. Isn't it about time...
What about the oil on the
The doorknob on the floor seems suspicious.
I agree with that.
Sorry, yeah,
Didn't the doorknob have scrape marks on it? That might have been where it got scraped by the wire.
Is that the same wire that was tied around Nekomaru?
The tip of that wire was tied into a loop. If the elevator moved while that loop part hung from the doorknob...
If they did something like that, he would have been suspended in midair.
That's right. He was suspended in midair.
Huh?
The killer tied up Nekomaru with the wire while he was in sleep mode. Tied the tip of the wire into a knot and hung it on the doorknob to the 4th floor. With that, they moved the elevator from the 4th floor to the 1st floor of Grape Tower. And suspended Nekomaru in midair.
Right, Nekomaru could have still done it in this though.
That's right! He was so well hung!
You better not finish that sentence!
He already did.
The killer took advantage of the elevator's unique feature. Only the floor moves. By doing that, they created a drop so Nekomaru could fall to his death.
Too easy. So what if they created a drop? There's no way you can make him fall and die with just that. Why? If Nekomaru is suspended in midair like that, then how do you get him to fall? Because if he's suspended in midair, he won't die if he doesn't actually fall.
I don't know.
Even if they suspended Nekomaru from a wire, how would they make him fall? There's no one in the tower to push him off. There's no way they could do that.
It doesn't mean someone had to push him off. It's possible that he fell on his own.
What? Nekomaru fell on his own? Nekomaru should have still been in sleep mode, right? If he was sleeping, there's no way he could do that to himself. Now's the time if you want to take that. But in that case, you still won't be able to moving the elevator with Nekomaru in is just impossible. End of story.
Hold on, thanks to Kazuchi, I think I figured out how the killer dropped Nekomaru. Right, if I use the evidence, I should be able to break through Kazuchi's remarks too.
What? Nekomaru fell on it. Nekomaru should have still been in sleep mode. If he was sleeping, there's no way he could do that to himself. Now's the time if you want to take back that sleep, but in that case, you still won't be able to explain the drop. Moving the elevator with Nekomaru inside is just impossible. End of story. What? Nekomaru fell on his own?
What?
Crap! What? Nekomaru fell on his own?
I tried both clocks.
Crap! What? Nekomaru fell on his own? Crap! What? Nekomaru fell on his own?
I just don't know the answer.
Crap! What? Nekomaru fell on his own? Crap!
This is embarrassing, but...
What? Nekomaru fell on his own? Crap! What? Nekomaru fell on his own?
I know it's not going to be those things.
Crap! What? Nekomaru fell on his own? Nekomaru should have still been in sleep mode, right?
Allow me to cut through those words! What do you think would happen if Nekomaru woke up while he was suspended upside down in midair?
What are you saying? Like, how would he even wake up?
He has an alarm inside his body. As long as it was armed, it would have deactivated his sleep mode. Which means the killer set the alarm before they suspended Nekomaru.
If you woke up from an alarm and realized you were hanging upside down and had no clue why, if something like that happened to you, you would start panicking a lot, right? Instinctively, your body would start moving. Nekomaru probably did exactly that.
And then, in order to make him fall from the force he was generating, the wire was hung on the tip of the doorknob so it would easily slip off. In actuality, the scrape marks caused by the wire were near the tip of the doorknob, right?
But Nekomaru didn't fall because the wire came off, right?
He fell because the entire doorknob came off.
When Nekomaru awoke, he must have struggled much more than expected, which caused the doorknob to break off.
Was that unexpected for the killer too?
Well, that's probably it. If they knew it'd leave behind evidence like that, they would have at least tried to do something to cover it up.
Killer didn't expect the doorknob to come off. The reason that even happened was because... In that case, I shall use my full power! The first roar, Nekomaru put both hands onto the... put all his power into grabbing the doorknob with both hands, but... Clatter, 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 clatter. Not yet. Here comes the incredible strength of 1 million horsepower! If that's really what it was, then that's the clue Nekomaru left for us to find.
I see. So that's how Nekomaru fell to his death.
Do you finally understand now?
Yeah. It appears it's just as Miss Sonia said. I'm just a pest. No, I'm not just a pest. I'm a total fucking pig.
Aww.
Isn't that right, Miss Sonia? If I'm a fucking pig, you can say so!
Okay, I take back that aw.
No, I believe you gave your all.
Hey! Why aren't you teasing me anymore?
This guy, he gets off on this!
So thanks to that alarm, Nekomaru ended up falling while he was still hanging upside down. That doesn't mean he just crashed straight into the floor. Of course, you know that too, right?
It doesn't mean Nekomaru crashed straight into the floor, hit a pillar. The moment he collided with the pillar.
I see!
When Nekomaru fell to the floor, he ended up colliding with the pillar. Isn't that it?
Finally, the pillar!
Yay!
So that's how the pillar shattered, and why oil was spilled all over the place.
See, I told you the pillar was the weapon. My gut was totally right.
Well, the pillar was a bonus. It's not even clear if the killer intended that, or if it was just a coincidence.
Right, his
At
face.
this point, it is quite difficult to find a clue that will lead to the killer.
Then what about the alarm? I'm positive the alarm was set for 7:30 a.m. And if we map it out from there...
Hold on, baby gangsta.
Stop calling me baby gangsta!
What'd you just say? Did you say the alarm was set for 7:30 a.m.?
You didn't check it yourself? Nekomaru's alarm was set for 7:30 a.m.
Nah, that's impossible. Because even though I slept in a little, I still got to the tower at 7 in the morning.
Now that you mention it, so did I. There was no way I could be late for Monokuma Tai Chi, so I left for Grape Tower before 7 a.m.
And if we found Nekomaru's body there, it would have been before the 7:30 a.m. alarm went off.
It appears yet another contradiction has been birthed.
Is it Gundam? I know that's literally my guess, but he's now doing the thing where the killer is the one actively trying to stop it, but he's being less suspicious about it than everyone else.
How were you able to discover Nekomaru died at 7:30 a.m. when you went to the tower at 7?
That's what I want to know!
Another mystery I don't... Just somebody changing the clocks. Another mystery I don't understand. Seriously, it's just one after another. But I can't choke up at a time like this. Just a little more and I'll be able to reach the truth. There should definitely be a clue to breaking through this contradiction. Is it time for some air mind skating? No. Here goes a cat.
We headed for Grape Tower before 7 a.m., I am certain.
But the alarm inside Nekomaru's chest was set for 7:30 a.m.
Nekomaru died because of that alarm, right?
His time of death and the time the body was discovered. One of those must be an illusion.
The killer probably did some tampering. They probably messed with the clock inside Nekomaru's chest.
Nope.
That's gotta be it!
We headed for Grape before 7 a.m., I am certain. We headed for Grape before 7 a.m.
But the alarm inside Nekomaru's chest was set for 7:30.
Nekomaru died because of that.
His time of death and the time the body. One of those must be an illusion.
The killer probably did some tampering. They probably messed with the clock inside Nekomaru's chest.
That's gotta be it! We headed for Grape before 7 a.m., I am certain.
Oh, come on! Oh, yes, she's wrong about... Okay.
We headed for Grape Tower before 7 a.m., I am certain.
But the alarm inside Nekomaru's chest was set for 7:30 a.m.
Nekomaru died.
His time of death and one of those must be an...
The killer probably messed with the clock inside Nekomaru's chest.
No,
that's wrong!
So I'm getting the cart before the horse. I've got to tell her she's wrong before we can talk
No,
about
the clock
who's right.
inside his chest was a radio clock, so it would have been impossible to mess with.
So you're saying there's no way the killer could have tampered with the clock?
With that clock.
Maybe the clock Miss Sonia saw was the one that got tampered with.
The clock inside Grape House?
No, I checked all the clocks inside the funhouse.
Oh, that's what I asked you to do. So you really listened to me and checked all the clocks.
And because of that, I can confidently declare that all the clocks had the same time displayed.
If there's no possibility that the time was tampered with, then we must doubt that human's testimony.
Please believe me, we are not lying.
Then maybe it's a misunderstanding?
I never misunderstand. I'll crush you into dog food.
A time-related contradiction. I don't think I should doubt the testimonies. I should doubt the clock. There's no mistake that something was done, but what was it? Perhaps we've overlooked something. Maybe we were misunderstanding something. I think if I focus and do some mind surfing, I should be able to find the answer to that mystery. I'm always terrible at this, so let's do it here. Logic dive! I'm gonna die pretty soon. Question 1. What did Hajime and the others misunderstand? The time in the building? Time in the building. So I want to move my face down. Question 2. Which clock was tampered with? The building's clocks. Question 3. Which house had the wrong time? Both houses. Cool, no mistakes in this one.
It's all coming together.
Helps that I knew the answers.
You said you checked all the clocks inside the building. Isn't that right, Fuyuhiko?
Yeah, none of the clocks had the wrong time.
But what if all those clocks have been messed with?
What? All the clocks?
So even if you checked all the clocks inside the building, there's no way you'd have noticed it.
I see. So the killer messed with the time inside the whole building by changing all the clocks.
So that's what it was. There's no way I would have noticed that.
So the end of my thought before, I want to make sure I repeat it, that the end of the... I was talking a while back about the first game where Byakuya had learned the lesson that you shouldn't overlook people's feelings. Being kind is virtue and stuff like that. The reason I made that point, and this is the end bit that I forgot, was that he assumed that Aoi killed Ogre and that it was actually suicide. In this case, Nagato might assume that he committed suicide when it was actually a murder. Was the point that was the original point I was trying to make. But then I went off on a weird tangent.
This is truly fantastic!
Now's not the time to be pleased. More importantly, how much was the time off?
She's right. It's the main problem. It needs clarified by how much time was off after the killer messed with the clocks. That's definitely the next mystery. I'm going to reach the truth in one go. Make your argument. Well, Fuyuhiko's account hasn't been used yet.
If the time in the building was all messed up, then we can only rely on Nekomaru's radio clock.
The time of death was clearly 7:30 a.m.
The problem is, what time would 7:30 be? In our time.
Are there any clues that can be used to narrow that down? If only I heard the sound when he fell. It would have been a great clue.
Or his scream.
He's not the type to let out a scream.
One of them knows.
If only Nekomaru's alarm was we would have heard it too.
There's no point in saying that. If does not exist in this world.
If the time in the building was all messed up, then we can only rely on Nekomaru.
The time of death was clearly 7:30 a.m.
Okay, I'm almost there.
The problem is, what time would 7:30 be? In our time.
Are there any clues that can be used to narrow? If only I heard the sound when he fell.
I agree with that. That's right. We should have heard the sound he made when he fell. Wasn't it that rumbling noise?
Rumbling? I thought it was just an earthquake, so I went back to sleep. Was that the sound from when Nekomaru fell?
Well, a huge body fell from the 4th floor to the 1st, and the pillar fell with it. It's obvious we'd hear the impact sound.
So Chiaki and Sonia wouldn't have heard the rumbling?
We heard that noise too.
It was when we were gathered at the Strawberry House Lounge. What is it, Sonia?
Sonia and Chiaki didn't hear it.
Oh, well. That sound everyone heard? I did not hear it at all.
Because their rooms were soundproof. As was Gundam's! That's why I know he's the killer! I know he's the killer, because he was in the soundproof room. All these hits and more, go to John Bannon Audio. My YouTube channel, no videos on, because I've never added songs.
Huh?
It's a real channel, though.
You probably didn't hear it because you were sleeping.
I could not sleep at all. I was awake the whole night with hunger pangs.
There's nothing to worry about. What's important is that rumbling noise anyway.
If we use that rumbling sound as a reference, we might be able to figure out how much our time was off.
I heard that sound probably around 5:30 in the morning.
Huh? You can tell?
I instantly woke up and left my room. And that's when I saw the clock in the lounge.
Excellent work, Akane!
The rumbling sound we heard was at 5:30 a.m. Set the answer to 2 hours.
I see!
Nekomaru's alarm went off at 7:30, and if we heard the sound of his impact at 5:30, that means our time was off by 2 hours.
2 hours? That much?
We were starving pretty badly. There's no way we would have noticed.
Plus, the funhouse has no windows. And there weren't any Monokuma announcements either.
Fuyuhiko said something about doing that. But
However, for what reason did the killer alter our perception of time?
it might have been Fuyuhiko. No, it's Gundam. He shouldn't have heard the alarm clock.
The reason is obvious. So they can lure out just Nekomaru.
Lure out. Only Nekomaru.
If you messed with the clocks and used a specific thing, you definitely get Nekomaru to the tower alone, right?
Why does Pekayama not get a special symbol?
From there, the killer's plan was a splendid success. That's all it means.
Besides messing with the time, the killer also used a specific thing. Monokuma Tai Chi? Massage time? Then there's the killer. Most frequent massage customer, me? Of course not. It has nothing to do with the time anyway.
Damn it!
Also, most of the... Yeah, okay, sorry. Monokuma Tai Chi.
I see!
That's it. The killer made use of the Monokuma Tai Chi activity in the morning.
How did they use it?
We were required to go to Great Tower every morning at 7 a.m. for that activity, right? But if they mess with all the clocks inside the building, what would that do to us?
We'd miss it.
We wouldn't be able to attend on time, but that wouldn't affect Nekomaru. His radio clock had the exact time.
That's right. In doing so, the killer was able to lure him to the tower by himself at the precise time.
Then, when I witnessed Nekomaru early in the morning...
If I recall, you witnessed Nekomaru around 5 a.m. And if that time was also 2 hours off, it should have been 7 a.m. Yeah, that's pretty much it. At that time, he was heading over to Monokuma Tai Chi, right on schedule.
I see. Now that I think about it, I realize what Monokuma meant when he said those words.
Too early! He didn't even ask you yet!
Jeez, how outrageous! I honestly didn't expect everyone to ditch Monokuma Tai Chi. Okay.
When you said everyone, you were including us, right? We thought we came to the tower on time, but in truth, it was way past the meeting time.
Ah, jeez! That's, well, how should I put it? What was it? You know, tripping over a foot or something like that.
Are you talking about tripping over someone else's fault?
What?
Wrong! Too bad.
Liar! I'm right!
That's not it. It's incorrect.
That's definitely the correct answer.
You trip over
You
one.
always get so stubborn like this.
Trip over your own feet.
Let's just ignore the peanut gallery. Now that we've found out how the killer lured Nekomaru, the number of suspects has drastically decreased.
Huh?
Hey, why would that decrease the number of suspects? Don't be a friggin' liar!
You'll know I'm not lying when you listen to what Fuyuhiko's going to say next.
Huh? What the hell do you mean?
You witnessed Nekomaru going toward the tower. Did something else happen after that?
Are you talking about that alarm?
Alarm?
A little while after I witnessed Nekomaru, the clock in the Strawberry House lounge started going off. Plus, it was just before that rumbling sound occurred. That's it. So that's what it is. If Nekomaru died when the rumble happened, then whoever doesn't have an alibi at the time is the prime suspect.
Really? Was there anyone who didn't have an alibi at that time?
Nagito, but he's wrong. It's the other way around.
I remember now. The sound was so loud I couldn't help bolting from my room. But there was one guy who never left the lounge. We were both on the same floor. It's pretty weird that bastard never came out of his guest room.
Which means that person does not have an alibi for when Nekomaru fell?
You don't need an alibi. They've set the alarm.
Who is it? Who's the bastard?
Right, I get this now. Because I have to select Nagito, but it's not Nagito.
You're the only one!
He doesn't need an alibi. The alarm's
The
preset.
one who wasn't there. It's you, right, Nagito?
That's right. Nagito wasn't there. It was just me, Gundam, and Fuyuhiko.
You didn't come out, even though the alarm was going off like crazy.
Because he's in a soundproof room.
You weren't in your room, were you?
If that's the case, where were you?
Please, say something!
If you don't hurry up and answer, I'm gonna suicide dive you!
Or Tope Suicida.
If I may be frank,
You can't be Frank and Nagito!
even if I wanted to go to the lounge, I couldn't.
You couldn't? What do you mean?
It's merely the foolish talk of the weak.
Not only did I not hear the alarm, I never even heard that rumbling sound.
He couldn't.
You're definitely fucking lying.
However, that is also true for me. It is obvious that I did not hear the alarm in Strawberry House.
Got it right. I got another murder right before the trial.
But I did not hear the rumbling sound either. Is that not strange? I mean, everyone else heard it.
Jackie didn't hear it.
To be honest, it's not just them. The same goes for me too.
Oh,
I was in a pretty deep sleep, so I thought that's why I couldn't hear it. But it wasn't that. I probably couldn't hear it at all.
Couldn't hear it? What does that mean?
okay, it's gonna make me spell out soundproof room.
You still don't know. Think about what the three of us who didn't hear a sound have in common, and I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Don't tell us who the killer is. The only people who didn't hear the rumbling noises, Nagito, Sonia, and Chiaki. The secret is, what do these three have in common? Could it be, also be the secret that points to the killer? It could. I can't remember what the rooms are called. It's not soundproof room, is it? Luxury. Oh, hang on. What? I really thought that L happened. Deluxe. Okay, E, John. Yeah, thanks for the ease game.
We will never give up!
Right, Deluxe room. I started using the bouncing move though. Which wouldn't be necessary if I was using the mouse. I love that it had like 20 Ds on the screen. I was like, I don't know what this is supposed to be. No! M.
I got it!
Nagito, Sonia, and Chiaki, the three of you were staying in deluxe rooms, right? If I recall, the deluxe rooms are...
The guest rooms are divided up by Deluxe room is soundproof and has excellent air insulation.
The reason we could not hear their bumbling noise.
Hang on, I've got a name for the episode now, don't I? I'll do it later.
That's right. It was because the deluxe rooms have superior sound insulation. You actually noticed that. Nice catch, Hajime. Are you using your ultimate reserve corps student talent? Now then, you guys must understand by now, right? The true identity of Nekomaru's killer.
Hold on a sec! Why does that lead to who the killer is?
Why? Well, that fact just now is a very important clue, and a decisive factor in identifying the killer.
I've screwed up the timing of the episode again though, haven't I? I might call it... No!
Decisive factor?
Somehow I feel like I understand what Nagito means. The killer among us. The killer who murdered Nekomaru.
You're the only one!
Gundam, there's something I want to ask you. When the alarm rang at the Strawberry House Lounge, you rushed over there too, right?
What's wrong with that? If the bell of catastrophe rings throughout the night, it is the universe's providence to stop it.
Why were you able to hear it?
Hear what?
I mean, you were also staying in a deluxe room, right? Nagito was staying in a deluxe room in the same house on the same floor, and he couldn't even hear it. So why were you able to hear that alarm?
Now that you mention it...
Gundam?
There is only one possibility. You weren't in your room at the time. That's why, even though you were staying in a deluxe room, you still went to the lounge, Am I right?
Gundam, you have some sort of explanation, right?
Aw.
Gundam probably couldn't return to his room because of Fuyuhiko.
Me?
After you saw Nekomaru heading to the tower, you stayed at the lounge for a while. Am I correct? Until the moment that alarm started ringing, right? If you were in the lounge for that long, the killer who had left earlier obviously wouldn't be able to go back.
Even though Mekamaru's murder was a death trap that utilized the alarm in his chest, the killer still needed to prepare the murder in advance.
Like putting Nekomaru in sleep mode and tying him up with the wire.
In order to do that, the killer needed to be waiting for Nekomaru at the tower. Which means when Fuyuhiko witnessed Nekomaru, the killer was already at the tower.
And once they tried to go back, they couldn't because Fuyuhiko was at the lounge.
In their original plan, the killer should have returned to their room before the alarm in the lounge went off. And they were supposed to stay in their room. They weren't planning to come out and go to the lounge.
Which means they wouldn't have heard the alarm or the rumbling sound, thus proving they were in the room.
Just like us.
The best case scenario would have been if those two in the lounge had gone and checked the deluxe rooms. After all, if they personally saw the killer sleeping in their room, it gives the killer a stronger alibi. Unfortunately, they failed to secure that alibi.
Because I was in the lounge.
So the killer couldn't go back to their room, and ended up hearing the lounge's alarm.
And that's why the lounges exist.
But why'd you come out? You should have hid till the excitement died down.
They might have checked the rooms and seen that he wasn't in there.
If Gundam tried to hide, and if those two went to his room to check on him, he would have been found out. That would have been the worst possible outcome. That's why he couldn't just stay hidden.
If those two had just checked the deluxe rooms as planned, that would have been ideal, but how ironic. The moment Fuyuhiko set foot in the lounge, your plan was doomed.
Because he was thinking about Pekiyama.
Gundam? Please, can you at least say something?
Answer me this, including myself in my 4 dark devas of destruction. How many ears do we possess?
Huh?
The answer is 10. That's right, I possess 10 ears. That means I have 5 times the hearing of a normal human. The soundproof system here may as well not exist.
Is that your argument?
You bastard! Do you understand the situation you're in right now?
Do not panic. The truth shall now commence.
I've not seen that face before. I was worried. I was genuinely worried. Oh no, they're going to do another layer, aren't they?
At the time, I left my room to go to the bathroom. By coincidence, I heard the alarm. That's right. That's all it was. The world is always so simple.
Are you saying it was just a coincidence? Isn't that timing a little too perfect?
And yet, I'm being suspected by all of you. It seems it was actually horrible timing on my part.
I see. You're still holding out. Well, you don't have to admit it. We're going to decide who the killer is with the majority vote anyway. So, why don't we just go ahead and start voting? It's obvious that Gundam is the killer.
Something is fucky. What is it? What is it? What is it? What's it? What's going on? What's going on? What's weird? Gundam's acting suspiciously. But what's weird? Maybe it's just gonna do the thing off. You know the thing off? where you have to keep pressing the buttons. But I don't know, something seems off. I'm worried. I'm going to let you go though. I've been John Proximity from Tommy West. I've been having a Danganronpa 2. Goodbye, Despair Adventure.